Good evening. This is Phil Danielson, President of Caprock Executive Development. We are now, this seminar is set up so that we can go over our integrated marketing plan, our marketing platform, and a quick, simple overview so you can understand what those services that we provide are and be able to share that with contacts that you might have as our strategic partner. Before we begin, I'd like to go over a few of the logistics of what and how we're going to be working today. If you have a desktop and you're working through YouTube or Hangouts, you'll see that there's a live chat box to your right. Feel free to include any comments that or questions that you might have in that chat box. That would be very helpful as we move forward. Also, if you would like to share any other questions, you don't have the capacity to do the chat link, then feel free to text those to me, and the number in which you can text them is 801-350-1197. Once again, that's 801-350-1197. And I'll be happy to respond on air while we're talking any questions that you might have. If there aren't any initial questions, doesn't look like there are, let's go ahead and begin. Okay, what we do, outsourced marketing, marketing in a box, but it's got to be your box. So the way we're going to begin this seminar is understanding a few things about the general idea of what's out there in the community, meaning who are our competitors. It's helpful to understand in a compare and contrast method what we do and how we do it. So let's start with what's out there. Outsourced marketing. What are typically given as services that is provided, and we focus on small businesses. We can do medium or large. However, it seems to be our services are most receptive for small businesses. They typically, the marketing services that are our peers or competitors are companies that provide PPC or SEO or some type of a website development. But those services are usually fairly limited in their ability to provide real content and a great ROI. And especially on the website development side, they use general templates, and the website development has limited functionality, the actual website itself, in providing services that are functional for the customer or consumer. And so in addition to that, what the three other elements that we say limit those companies are the expertise of the employees, the technology that's available to them, and that is a function oftentimes of the expertise of the employees, and then their ability to execute. What we mean by that is let's start with expertise of the employees. You're only as good as what they know, and usually, oftentimes, their employees understands one thing very well. However, that's all they know. And so unless they have unless they're a large marketing company, they simply don't have employees that have the broad width, or the width that's broad enough to be able to handle the potential needs of customers that they may have. In addition, because of the limitations of their employees, they may not have access to the latest and greatest technology. It's expensive to bring on a data management expert, and so therefore they may not have the capacity to deal with the latest technology. And finally, because generally these marketing companies are small in size, their ability to execute is limited. They get backed up, and it takes time to get the information. I'm sure you've been frustrated if you've dealt with many of the marketing companies that I have. Is they're quick to start, and then to actually produce the work. Website design is one that screams at me. It takes weeks or maybe even months beyond the time that time had been committed to be able to actually fulfill that mission. Results in is generic, overpriced, uninspired work. That means to the business owner, marginal increase to the bottom line, maybe. I've had conversation after conversation of business owners saying, I really don't even want to get into the idea of doing some type of a digital campaign because my last experience was somebody that, I paid way too much to do a PPC campaign and it just didn't work. So that's kind of what I'm talking about with regard to our peers. Now, if you notice, even the way that I presented this was in a very black and white, generic, boring way, because I wanted you to understand this goes back to when I was a kid. I remember the first generic cereals that they had out and generic food products that was in the grocery stores were just that. They were white labeled, black print, nothing exciting. You got that, and it was generic, and it was uninspired. However, that's not who we are. We are different, and our integrated marketing platform is the difference in how we compare with our peers. So let's use some examples and let's have a conversation about what that looks like. First, companies come in all forms and all colors. We're going to use this imagery here as a kind of a backdrop to help us understand a few different concepts I'd like to share with you. First, for a small business, let's look at the inner circle. We have three different colors, primary colors, very distinct. And let's use that as a conversation about a small business. Well, a small business may have very distinct but very fundamental needs. A website, some basic social media. Now, they want custom products that work for them, but they don't have the capacity to be able to pay large amounts. You can provide that for them, distinct, different colors. It doesn't have to be black and white, which means we can customize it for the customer. As businesses get slightly larger, moving to the outside ring, as it were, it might involve SEO and blogging, social media programs, and management of the database of prospective clients. And it might even include information. Once again, adding more hues and texture to the company, therefore actually some complexity in addition. So we can provide the basic, the nuts and bolts of simple that a small business or a startup might have. And in addition to that, we can also create, as the company gets a little bigger, some of those needs. Now, as you move up in size, now you're talking an increase in complexity. We have this palette here of different colors, which allows you to have the idea of different products that we can help you provide, or we can provide to you. So, which would include not just the idea of a few services, but also or products. But in addition, we can help you with branding and marketing strategy. Now that they kind of enter the picture, you have video content, printed and PDF brochures, trade show booths, automation of the sales process, content creation. Now those are all elements, and you can see around the outside whether all of the many types of potential channels, as it were, for being able to talk with your potential customers, or the potential customers of your contacts, as you are one of our strategic partners. So as the company gets larger, we actually look at providing everything that an in-house marketing division would provide. And these services would include all of the following. The strategy. Let's talk about that for a minute. So not only do you have all of those different services that are out there, we also provide the strategy to help talk about how you use them. So we talk about branding, and we talk about the different ways to be able to communicate with your customers or potential customers. So a chief marketing officer, we can range from just a branding meeting to the idea that we will work as a chief marketing officer for the company. And it looks at the big picture of the competitive landscape, looking at product mix, brand strategy, advertising message, all related components to deliver to the CEO the strategic marketing plan, and that can be adjusted quarterly or as needed. We provide not one, but an entire team of A-list CMOs. And that's important because companies are different. And we have the capacity, we have the experts in the stable, as it were, to be able to pick one that works specifically in your industry or has the needs that need to be fit, that you need. They jointly review the specific business objectives and ideal growth plan, and come back with recommendations in the form of an executable action plan. Looks like we have a question here. So the question is how are you different than an ad agency? Which is a great question. Ad agencies working for and getting paid by radio stations and newspapers and TV, other media outlets that run the ads they create. So they broker those services, as it were, and that's fine, but they don't really do anything other than come up with reasons to run ads, which can be very expensive. And they may, not only are they expensive, depending on the time and when, but in addition, they simply may be inappropriate, not as appropriate as other methods at getting to the customer. So, great question, thank you. All right, so now we've talked about the strategy and looking at it as a whole. Now let's talk a little bit about execution. So once the plan is approved by the client, it's a blueprint for our team to execute. So think about it with all these gears that are sitting there. It's not only do you have to have the blueprint of how you have all those gears, but they have to run well together. And we execute. We have execution teams, as it were, that can perform those services in addition to just the strategy. So you can hire a marketing consultant that can give you the big broad brush and help you understand all of the needs that you have and help you understand where you need to go. But oftentimes they have no interest in being able to help you actually bring that about and execute on the plan. That's where we thrive, in the execution of those same strategies. So this can include a drip email campaign, creation of content to drive traffic to the company's website, organic ranking or SEO, management of PPC, new prospects through scraping competitors' contacts. That's one of my favorites. Creating videos, creating brochures, setting appointments for salespeople, and generating new leads. So, for more advanced marketing services, we have the capacity to do even more than that, and actually some clients have the ability to invest in extremely sophisticated marketing approaches. And one example would be utilizing what's called a marketing tech stack. And I'd like to talk a little bit about what that means. So your screen right there is probably making your head ache. It does mine. This was created back in March of this year, and what the concept was is let's put a logo into every potential technology that exists to help us with marketing. So this is just marketing technology that you see. That's an incredible amount of technology that's able to be that's out there. Well, how do you harness that? A small business can't harness that. They can't. They don't even know what some of these terms are with respect to the boxes, let alone which app is the best. And so how do you deal with that? Well, we have what we call our marketing tech stack, which takes all of that and turns it into something like this, which is obviously not nearly as many, but more applicable to any individual company. So now, frankly, this is more than most companies would ever use, but you can see all of those logos, and more importantly, how they correspond with the different colors, which are the different channels or opportunities to communicate with your customer. And so we take the chaos and we simplify it through what we call our product and marketing tech stack, which helps automate all of that information and makes it work together. So it's not just a matter of understanding all of your opportunities and picking and choosing which ones are best, but then it integrates all of those same opportunities into a holistic approach for the entire company. It does so with automation so that you don't have to hire people to understand the difference between all of those different logos that are on there. And in addition to that, it helps them work together. So Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter, for example, if you're going to have some type of a digital campaign that includes those three, having them work together in a cohesive manner with a single strategy that will then cause, ultimately, the phone to ring. So this is an example of, let's go back to this screen. So we take all of the different varieties, and we're going to back up even one more. So we go from all of this chaos to an understanding of what might be applicable for your company, and then we turn it into a marketing tech stack that allows for you. So at the end of the day, this is an example of one company's marketing tech stack, using the different companies and the different logos there to be able to channel all of the opportunities that that company may have for, and as you can see at the top, taking it from awareness to deal conversion to data collection and analysis on the end. Now this is a fairly simple, straightforward one, and that may be very applicable for the companies that you speak with. However, it might be as complex as something like this, which there's not even room to be able to put all the logos. So the ultimate bottom line to this for you as a strategic partner is understand we not only have the services. I'm now going to back up here so that we can talk about how all this fits together. So here we go. We offer the services, which are, let's say it's the colors, right? The different channels and the different, you can see the different wording, whether it's streaming or niche working, or we have those services that we provide so that you can create the strategy and implement that strategy. And we can do both the creation as well as the implementation. And in addition to that, we also have the technology, let's say, as it were, the making sure that all those moving parts work and that they work 24/7 so that you don't have to have the manpower, the high cost manpower to make sure it all works in an integrated whole. Taking chaos, creating simplification with strategy to create a marketing tech stack. And this would be one example. This would be a more complex example. All right, we don't expect you to be marketing experts, so how does it work for you? Pretty simple. We have a simple brochure, and here is one of the pages that helps talk about what we do and how we actually create results for you. So let's go through that now in a very simplified way. All right, we call this our integrated marketing platform. All of it combined. The strategy, the execution, the technology, we call that our integrated marketing platform. And once again, this is just a simple screenshot of the actual PDF marketing tool in our brochure. So we go through and we have a discussion with the individual company where we have 22 inspection points so that we can help determine where the company is strong and where additional help is required to optimize the overall marketing strategy. This assessment is submitted to and then it's reviewed by CapRock's top marketing consultants who provide a roadmap and specific recommendations to adjust the marketing strategy going forward. And the strategy becomes an execution plan, taking things to the next level. So let's see how that works. So we have the full review. We sit down with them. We have a conversation. And this is a dialogue. This is not a monologue from us to them on how we, how the real world works. We actually, this is important interface. So we understand what are the strategic needs of the company. And then we help use the resources that we have to be able to create strategic vision for that company moving forward, if that's what they like. However, if they just simply need a website, we can do that too. So we do the full review. Next, in addition to the actual strategy, we do the implementation. And we can do that in a very cost-effective manner the implementation of the entire strategy. We implement technology. This is where the marketing tech stack comes in, because we believe that the best way to reduce your costs, especially and increase your return on your investment, is by creating the technology to run in the background and relieve the labor costs that would be typically involved in something like this. And what we have seen is, by doing so, you see that results are delivered. Brands are strengthened. Just like it says, recognition of the market price is improved and sales are closed. So this is the simple approach that we use, and that you will find, most importantly, that you will find in the PDF brochure on our website. So feel free to use that with your contacts to give them a simple overview. And you don't need to get into the complexity that we showed before with the different slides there. This is pretty simple and straightforward. I'd like to touch on two other things before we wrap up, and that is also in our brochure is a simple page here where it talks about how we are different. I want to touch on 2 points on that. We only hire experts in their specific field, and we use them to accomplish the only within the realm of their expertise. And we have a very large stable of the best of the best. And frankly, no company, unless they're extremely large, has the capacity to have these types of people on their staff. And so we have worked with, we have arrangements with the experts in their field so that they work for us in the field, in their chosen expertise. What that allows companies to do is be able to, one, get services that they would never be able to do in-house at a cost that's substantially less than many of our competitors. So it's the business model of Caprock Executive Development that's allowed us to be different. And that difference makes a difference. Also on this page, you'll see just three simple what our clients say, some testimonials about what they have seen from us and how they felt about it. On the next page, this is the third page of the brochure that talks about our integrated marketing platform. It simply goes through three simple case studies to where we can talk about what has been done in the past, so that we can be able to, and therefore potentiality of a good fit for different companies. So this, feel free to review those at your leisure. Now, I have seen how this works over and over again with simple and small companies. I'd like to give you one example, a simple company, and how we were able to help them. This was a heating and air conditioning contractor located in Wisconsin. I was brought in to review their situation to see if we might be able to help them. Found was that the company actually had very good management. They had a great outlook on how the company should be run. Frankly, their margins were very healthy. But the problem was that they had an ownership team of three brothers and one sister. And while the revenues were good, they were not going to be sufficiently large to be able to support the family as the family grew. These were the brothers and the sister were all in their 30s and early 40s. And because they were a partnership, the revenues had to be able to be large enough to support all four of those families. And it looked in the future that they were going to have a hard time doing so. And so they needed additional revenue. They needed to be able to expand their market. As I spoke with them, I asked them about what they did. And this is typical for small businesses. They said, well, we rely mostly on the marketing that's done by our manufacturer. Well, that's okay, and that's good, but the problem is that they didn't have any additional ability to generate larger market share. And so we had a discussion. We created a strategic plan for them to do certain things. For instance, we created a simple email campaign that allowed them to continue to have contact with their past customers. In heating and air conditioning, you have the installation of new products, and then you also have periodic maintenance, which is profitable, can be quite profitable, especially when you have your downtimes and when the season is not particularly hot or cold. And so we worked out a way to create a simple email drip campaign that allowed them to maintain and, more importantly, develop the relationship with their customers. So they, instead of them coming to us, we went to them, as it were, as the company. They went to the customer to say, okay, it's now time for X, Y, and Z. And they were able to do so in a digital component that didn't extract a whole lot of money, but was highly successful and in a very rapid manner. Now that's one simple component, and then of course we added other things. We added a Facebook campaign and a LinkedIn campaign, and we began to step by step develop a unified plan that allowed them to increase the revenue to be able to support the family. Ultimately, when you're talking about revenue, the businesses and the business owners, it goes to personal component. And we work with them, with the companies, so that they can see what their potential may be. And then our execution at a high level allows us to be able to create that return on that investment. It's a simple story, but it was highly effective with that company. I'd like to thank you for taking some time to learn more about our integrated marketing platform. If you have any other questions, I'm sorry, I missed. Let's see. It looks like I may have missed a question here, so just one second here. Let me pull it up. This is a strategic. This is a strategic partner question, and that is do you have territories with respect to the marketing? And the answer to that is no. Our product is one that allows us to do things throughout the country as well as the world. And so typically your contacts are going to be in the, fairly close to where you are. And so that's typically how it works. But we are national, and we even have companies that we consult with and we work with internationally. So feel free, there's no territorial restrictions on who you can share that with. So thank you for that question. And we appreciate you listening to this, and we are here for you, and we provide services to help you be able to feel comfortable sharing this information with your customers and your contacts. Thank you very much.